So we're group five, and we're going to talk about the Walt Disney and Pixar case. To start off, we're going to start with the first question, which is a bit of a tricky question because many things come into play. We've determined that value is greater if Disney and Pixar maintain an exclusive relationship, but it's not always the case, as we have learned. So first, let's identify a few benefits that each would otherwise not have. Disney has invested in and needs the new technology that Pixar has for the CG animation that is obviously growing in the market. And Pixar needs a mode for which they can distribute and market those CG films. So these two have the best of both worlds, although arguments that Disney needs Pixar more than Pixar would need Disney remains debated. So with Disney alone, they face the challenge to get their movies going in the direction that the technology and market is headed in. But in their current model of generating films, the question is, will it be enough? Will it be the question for themselves is either to acquire a company that has this technology or talent, or do they further in their own department that's dedicated to this? So with Pixar alone, we can see that they have the cutting edge technology, which is with close rivals such as DreamWorks, they have also proven very successful, which could be a challenge. And for them, that's obviously a big challenge. Another is if talks with other studios go slowly or undesirably. And with most other studios, they could not grow probably nearly as big as Disney could make them.
Okay, so now we're just going to assume that they go into an exclusive relationship because, as we'll see, that's what we figure is the better opportunity. You have two options there. You can fully acquire Pixar, or you can just maintain a contract relationship. And in the questions, it's like a 5-year contract. I have three points here. The first one is anytime you have a third party or second party, whichever, working for a first party, you always have some amount of an agency problem, which occurs anytime you have somebody else expected to act in the best interest of another person. You always have some sort of losses there. And in this case, it would be mostly in the executive area where, like the C level, you're expected to act in the same way as a Disney executive would, but you have no incentive to, because there's little reason to innovate outside of your contract that you've established, because you can't go anywhere else. Okay, so that's the first problem. The second main one that I wanted to explain was if you're fully acquired, you don't have to worry about an end of contract change. So after 5 years or whatever, your animation style is not going to change and alienate some of the people that watch your shows and say, "Oh, their animation style changed. I don't like them anymore." And those are really the main ones. The last one is just that if you fully acquired, you can collaborate a little better because your employees can literally sit next to each other a little bit more easily than if you need to share information across buildings.
So should Disney acquire Pixar, what are some of the potential issues that they would face, and how would we organize the acquisition? What we are suggesting is that Disney would fold in Pixar as an independent production company, much like it did with Miramax Studios, where they have their own P&L, and they also have the capability of making their own productions as well, knowing that they have the talent on board to do so. But really what Disney is after, if they acquire Pixar, is the technology that they're using and the talent. So for sure, Pixar would be the engine that gives a support to all Disney productions in regards to animation endeavors. And in this way, Disney could also really insource entire productions to Pixar internally as they come up with a story, then they hand that over to Pixar to create. Part of the acquisition is also the talent that comes with the technology, and so we feel that retaining Catmull and Lasseter and promoting them as heads of the Pixar division would be paramount. These two would report to Bob Iger, and because talent would follow these two pioneers in innovation when it comes to the CG animation. And this would ensure that the culture that Pixar that's so innovative remains intact by not centralizing it under Disney and keeping it decentralized. They can continue to innovate just as they have. And we also are suggesting that Steve Jobs be bought out entirely. There can really only be one head, and this should be Bob Iger, and he needs to run Disney companies as Disney companies. And Steve Jobs' style and personality is really not a cultural fit from what we've studied at Disney in regards to the way the board operates and those sorts of things. So that's what we suggest there.
Yeah, and lastly, we do believe that Disney should acquire Disney. Strategically, they're both they're similar. They both want to make great movies. Disney takes it one step farther and creates a whole world around those great movies. Historically, the partnership has worked pretty well. They've created such hits as Toy Story, Cars, Finding Nemo. We thought that Pixar should be very integrated with Disney right from the beginning. We want both of the storytellers to work together, to collaborate, to be unified. That way that they can churn out those stories quickly. We also think that Disney does a masterful job of pouring on that Disney magic. So we want the rights of whatever they create to automatically let Disney integrate it with their songs and their merchandise and their theme parks and everything else. Lastly, we also thought that the board should be made up of some people from Disney and some people from Pixar. That way it shows that unification, that unity, that the companies are created equal, that Pixar's not above Disney or Disney's not above Pixar, but everyone's equal. They're all in it together. And this would trickle down to the everyday workers to show that they're really coming together to do what's best for Disney.